Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 Memorial Championships. We have made it over to Vista del Camino playing the XL layout. Myself, Jennifer Allen, joined with Violet Main, new kid on the block, Chandler Reigh, and then making it to the card on the third round is Nathalie Ortiz. We're going to start it off on hole number 1. Joining me today is another local icon, FPO player Ashley Phelps.
What is up, everybody? Super pumped to be here. Thanks for having me. Here we are, hole 1, 284 feet up the gut. You got to defeat that triple mando initially. We've got OB on the left-hand side as well as the right-hand side with the fence there. Just sliding a nice drive up to the basket here is the right play.
So like Ashley said, trying to keep it under that, and that was more of my focus, and that was maybe one of my worst throws I've started the round with there. Right in the middle, though, you have to also worry about hitting any of those branches and getting that kick to the left.
Correct, because that OB is pretty tight on the left-hand side there.
Yeah, Violet with the play of the hill, kind of getting that slide down. That's going to put her about circle's edge.
Here we go. We've got Chandler, a.k.a. Chowder, throwing right up the gut there.
Yeah,
deflection.
We saw awesome distance out of her on round 1 and 2 at Fountain Hills. So we're going to see how she handles Vista. And here is Nathalie from San Diego going right up the gut.
Nathalie with a little flick here. Nice little Annie.
Not really giving it a run.
It's okay, Jen. You don't need to. Yeah.
I think, starting off with a nice par, setting the tone, not, shaking the nerves loose a little bit. Believe it or not, we had zero. Oh, I should probably wait till she putts. 0 birdies for the day on hole number 1. So that's kind of good to know that we don't really have to attack this hole. Maybe in the FPO field most of the time, that a par is going to be okay to start.
Absolutely. Chandler puts it in for par. And Violet hammers it home.
This is the first we're going to see Nathalie on the coverage for the week. And I'm going to go ahead and give you a warning. Most beautiful putt. Like such a solid, smooth putt every single time. Was amazing to watch.
Very consistent putting style. Couldn't agree more. Alrighty, next up, we've got hole 2, 415 feet. This puppy's in the longest pin position for this hole. It is a par 3. Nice little backhand. Will do you just fine on this hole. I've seen a lot of the men throw forehand here, just getting it to the pin.
So this is in like Ashley said, a longer position, not the one that's right there in the middle. So I prefer to kind of stick with a little bit more of the hyzer out in front instead of going around the tree like we sometimes do when the basket's there in between the middle. So we need just a little more distance, and going over on this left side gives you kind of the best chance for a putt. In the middle, the branches kind of hang low, so it's really hard to attack the basket. But if you're out there on the outside and you have enough distance, you can give it a little run for that birdie. Chandler with some great distance, and if she can kind of get around that tree, she may have a long jump putt.
Nathalie cranking the backhand here. Beautiful. I agree with you, Jen. If you can finish on the left-hand side on this hole, you're sitting real pretty for an approach.
And those low branches I was mentioning, Nathalie's going to try to stay under them, just get up there to tap in the par. Another kind of difficult hole. These first couple holes, you don't see a ton of birdie out of the FPO field. We would sometimes get it on the shorter placement there, but pushing it back behind this pine tree makes it a little more difficult. Nice soft touch, putting her underneath the basket.
And you're just laying up for your par there. Nathalie with an excellent strong putt.
Yeah, I think she probably would get, inside 20 and feel like, oh, tap in.
Yes. Yes.
Violet!
Oh, Violet with the waffle putt.
The squat waffle putt.
Swaffle.
The school. I mother lectured her for like a couple holes. Apologized to Dad, who's been on the bag this week. That was just one of those you just don't think it's going to happen. Yeah.
That is a bummer, no doubt. Alrighty, hole 3, folks, 360 feet. Par 3 here. We have a tree bush, if you will, to contend with right in the middle of the fairway there. Again, forehand or backhand works here. I've seen some great hyzers as well as turnover shots on the left-hand side of the bush there.
So going with the big hyzer, letting it go a little too high, a little too much angle. It's always going to land you over on the left side. Nice 4 to the girls on the tee pad. You do just have to be careful if there's a big strong wind or you crank over even more than I did, you can end up OB across that sidewalk. So just as well as if you turn it over too hard on the right side, you're going to go over the fence up there, and that's OB as well. Another sneaky OB is that little concrete ditch up there. So sometimes those hyzers skipping down the hill can get stuck up in this really small, awkward area. So that one's a little sneaky, but you see it at least once a tournament.
Hello. Hey, way to just switch it up and do what we're not doing. Yeah, way to be different. You guys are going that way, so I decided to
Honestly, where Violet landed, that's perfectly A-okay.
Yeah, and I think being the first elevated basket of, the round, most of us like to just play it safe, land a little close, kind of tap this one in. We have several elevated baskets. If anyone who's played Vista knows that there's usually about half that are very elevated. I feel like they might have taken 1 or 2 away. We don't have quite as many, but you have a variety of height of baskets at this course.
And with that being said, it's got to be the tallest course in disc golf history. Chowder puts it in for her par. Well done there.
You see the little pat there from Chandler?
And Violet with her patented waffle putt. And Jen and Nathalie with tap-ins. Here we go, folks. Hole 4, 381 feet. This is a par 3. We've got a few more trees on this hole to contend with, but nothing crazy. Backhand hyzers work out really well on this hole. Have a nice wall that borders the back of the circle there.
This hyzer used to be pretty easy. The right side of this tree continues to grow every single year. So you really have to trust the stability of your disc to throw it out over those apartments and still bring it back. This one, unfortunately, is in someone's living room now.
Okay.
Oh, shoot.
That's a first.
Nathalie going with a little more safer conservative route, just trying to sneak through that. Unfortunately, gets caught up there on that last little branch. I think that's a tree all of us have been under at least a time or two. This was an incredible shot. Being able to hold that turnover the whole way so you don't hyzer out OB. She was close, but held the line and got a lot of extra distance.
Okay.
We could not even see the disc. We don't know where it went through or if the owner of the apartment decided just to take it inside. I love how it's right under the no trespassing, just to, in case she thought about it.
Well, now that my heart's pounding again. I have no backswing. Oh, shit.
And Chandler had a wall to contend with there, so she went ahead and went with her backhand, hitched it right up by the basket there. Nathalie, no problems from a knee.
On something like that, would you take the meter directly 90 degrees out? God, that was so close. Or would you take the angle? I think on something like that, I would try to get as far away as possible, not trying to increase my distance to the hole. What do you think?
That's a great question. I think I agree with you, Jen. I really do. I don't think there's any contending that.
Yeah, so you have that option with the OB stroke of taking that any angle you want closer to the basket. But there's just times that even if you're trying to get those few extra inches, it may hurt you. So you can do whichever you want, even backwards if you would like.
Folks, I do say this is a game of inches. Very truly. Nathalie putting it in for par there.
And since we've all ran our first putt, I'll go ahead and say this is hole 4. And the first 4 holes, we only have 1 birdie so far, and that was on hole 3. So knowing for if any of you female players that want to come play this, first couple holes are a hard stretch to get going.
And we got some blueberry waffle action there for you. And just a little tap in by Jen there. Right on, ladies.
Died. Not one more rotation.
I know, if we could just meet somewhere in the middle with my height and your accuracy, I think we'd be doing great.
All right, hole 5, 386 feet. This is a par 5. Par 5 for the women. We do have 4 Mandos to contend with on this hole, with this one being a double Mando in the end here to get all the way to the basket.
I think that was right. I think it actually is a par 4. It is the easiest hole on the entire course. I can tell you that. So kind of a tweener. It is a par 3 for the men. It is a par 4 for the ladies. So just trying to get that nice, safe shot in the middle, lay up your approach, and you're going to have a tap-in birdie. So this is one you don't want to mess up, but it can happen.
Yeah, common mistakes off the drive are pulling it to the right of that Mando on the right-hand side of the hole. We see that often.
Yeah, and not too often do you see the players kind of attack like Violet and I did there. It's a very touchy distance. I go with, of course, my T-Bird, as always. But you have to be so careful because we do have the distance to pass that last Mando line there. So you have to be careful. maybe even a mid to just guarantee the layup in the middle. Chandler lucky, staying in bounds and hitting in between the last two Mandos perfectly.
Nathalie with a nice layup right under the basket there. And the same for Violet.
So not too often do we get the eagle look for this, but I did have it. Unfortunately, I needed to kind of jump putt with the elbow. The outside the circle is a little tough for me, and those branches were just a little low. Back-to-back putts I thought I had. They felt so good out of the hand, and just that's the touch in my elbow that I just don't really have the feeling. Like I feel like the power's there, but it's just a hair too soft.
Chandler with the birdie there. And blueberry waffles.
And we're all going to tap in those birdies. I believe that was our first star frame. Big shout out to Spinners on the Green, everyone, all the volunteers for making this happen.
Here we go. We got hole 6. This is a par 5, folks. This one's a longin'. This one is a longin', 783 feet. We got trees in the way. We've got OB on the right-hand side. We've got OB on the left-hand side.
Can attack this a couple of different ways. The Hyzer is kind of a nice, safe play as long as you don't hit that last little tree I snuck by, or that little tree kind of comes into play. Lose a little bit of a distance with the Hyzer, but kind of puts me where the spot I like to try to hit. This little turnover flex shot is another great way. And then you have the variety of throwing a big forehand around the left side. Lots of options on hole number 6.
Violet with her beautiful turnover shot here.
Total smash.
Excellent distance. Absolutely.
She tried to steal your name. Smashly. Here's another smash. These girls are bringing it with the distance. Everyone getting out there to a nice spot that can give you some options of if you want to do the Hyzer approach on the next one or a big turnover.
Let's go, ladies. Nathalie, a little kick out of the tree, but honestly, not a bad spot for her to end up.
Oh, son of a...
Pulled it just a hair wide, but somehow crushed through that giant tree.
Wow.
It had some spin
Wow.
on it.
And Simon C, Simon do, Chandler doing the same thing. So the tree was nice and just let both of us go straight through it.
Wow. You don't see that too often.
Huge flex, getting full distance. Just catches those last of the little branches at the top of that tree. It was an incredible shot.
And we got some more Annie action.
Yeah, good shot.
Oh, very good. Inbounds, so that's good.
I think this is about, I'm going to guess, 230-ish. And I shave it off. Definitely a shot I'm going to get out there and practice a few more times. I kept ending up in like an awkward in-between distance of, and you do want to worry about skipping long or left or right. You do have OB around this entire green, and it's a fast green. There's very little grass, so you got to be careful with the skips. Violet's showing us how it's done.
The grass this time of year is practically non-existent, so I couldn't agree with you more on the skips. Chandler with some flick action to the basket there.
I think Nathalie would have went for that if those low branches wouldn't have been in the way.
Oh,
It's
man.
fine.
Oh.
They're on target. As
Yep.
long as they just stay hitting the basket, I'm okay with it.
Yep. And a little chocolate chip waffles for you.
Are you going to run out of waffle flavors by the 18th?
No. Chandler puts in the birdie. Well done, ladies. Nice hole. Come on, baby. Next up, we got hole 7, 645 feet as the crow flies. This is a par 5, folks. We've got OB on the right-hand side, sidewalk and beyond. There is also OB on the left-hand side. You do have to make this island as you get closer to the basket, and you also have to contend with a Mando that you have to shoot to the right of.
Yeah, this is a tricky little hole. A lot to contend with. A placement shot for a lot of us. And then if you have the distance, you have to decide not only distance, but if you have the angle as well. Over there to the left makes it pretty tricky to attack the green. So I believe if you have a couple of nice, safe shots, it's I would say easy birdie.
Yes.
But if you get aggressive, you can definitely pick up worse than that.
Yes.
So you have to decide off maybe the second shot how much you really want to attack this.
Chandler had a beautiful drive, and Jen follows that up with another.
Almost pushing a little too far left to attack the green. I'd like to stay a little closer to the sidewalk. Nathalie just trying to stay safe. And I think that's out.
Oh, man.
But she did say that once she got up there, she was like, oh, this is really nice. As long as you pay attention to that last tree, like Ashley mentioned, is a Mando that we have to stay to the right of. I believe she might have came close to going out of bounds again on that second one, unfortunately. So going for it here, trying to get the skip, the angle, and the distance to attack the green.
Jen, remarkable. Okay, come on. I didn't doubt it for a second. Here we go, Chandler. The backhand. She's going for it. Oh. Oh, and it skipped out.
Violet playing smart, just trying to lay that up and attack it. Like I said, laying up, as long as you have a great second shot over the sidewalk. We have to be short of the sidewalk for no penalty stroke. But easy to birdie with a couple good shots.
Nathalie hooks it out a little bit wide, but makes the island. Let's go, Nathalie.
So Violet kind of gave herself an ugly angle. Going to have to go with a big hyzer around the tree. She nails it. Almost throws it in.
Wow.
And that one's good. She is now on the island.
Just shy for Violet. Nathalie, showing us that strong putt. Let's go.
Dead center heart every time. And the speed, everything is just perfect.
It's just confident.
Mm-hmm. Splash out. So unfortunately, no eagle for me on that one. Little tap in birdie.
There we go, Chandler, for her par. And hey, Jen, those are the best birdies when you can just tap those puppies in, right?
For sure. I'll take those any day. And like 4 discs in my hand. I'm like, okay, focus, Jen, focus.
Freaking go. It felt good out of my hand, too.
Taking a quick break from the action, and these guys have to get warmed up. A brand new product on the market. I'll start with UAB. What are we looking at?
This is the new Hyzerline disc. It's like kind of a warm-up tool. There's about, what would you say, 30 feet of rope attached to a parachute. And you pretty much can just throw it as hard as you can, and it'll only fly about 50 feet. It's honestly the coolest warm-up tool I've ever seen, and I haven't seen anything new like this on the disc golf market.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique product. This is patented technology that is being worked on so that you can throw it as hard as you want. Jake, forehands, backhands, does it really matter? Is there anything you're learning while you're using this?
Yeah, I'm learning a bunch. It's great because unlike throwing it into a net, you can actually see where it's going and you can hit your lines and pick spots to aim at. So it's great for warming up for a course like Fountain Hills with less space than maybe the average Disc Golf Pro Tour event or whatever.
Yeah, somewhat limited resources in terms of being able to throw and get warmed up, get your body warmed up.
Absolutely.
But you're really only going, what, 30, 50 feet? Does that hurt your feelings when you throw it as hard as you want and it only goes 30 feet?
No, honestly, it makes it even better because usually I can't just throw it as hard as I want in like most of the fields I warm up in, so this makes it even better.
Yeah. All right, well, it's pretty cool to see Hyzerline with this brand new product. How can they support you guys while picking up this product?
Yeah, you guys can go to hyzerline.net and you can use code ABJake to support us and also get a 5% discount.
Awesome. Well, we love to see it. We're going to get back to the action, but I'm super happy to see this brand new product on the market, and you can support a couple of great guys. Let's get back to it.
Well, that was super cool. And here we are, hole number 8, all over the water, 360 feet carry to the pin. Water clearly out of bounds. There's a line up there that you must cross or you're going to the drop zone that puts you about 200 feet away. Going with the rock, the Jen Allen Halo rock, and it was a lot of hyzer on that thing. Crossed over, unfortunately lands out of bounds, but it did cross. Big shout out to the spotter, really watching where those discs go. It always makes it so much less stressful for the card when you can trust the spotter. You go up there, there's no arguing. They're good about not touching anything.
Oh, Violet catches the tree but lands in bounds. That was great.
I think she's going fairway there. You see the stability flexes it, comes right back. Just a hair behind the pin.
Holy schmamoly. Nathalie opting for the layup play? I play this play myself? Wonder how many times I can say the word play in one sentence. Very nice spot, though, for Nathalie.
Yeah, and another hole that birdies don't come super often. So pitching over there to the right, getting a good solid approach. We've lost a lot of trees at this course, so there's a lot more open lines. And 3 on this hole is great. I'm going to be trying to get that 3. Unfortunately, it's going to be a bogey.
Violet from long range. Just on the right-hand side there. Great height, though.
And I will say that would have been dead center, but this is one of our shorter placements. So like the elevated pins at Vista del Camino, we also have a few of the little more vertically challenged baskets.
Smaller than your average basket, if you will. Chandler being very methodical, cans the birdie here. Only 2 birdies during this round. It was Chandler and Danielle Keene. Shout out to you 2. And just a little strawberry waffle for you. Alrighty, next up, we've got hole 9, 324 feet to the pin. This is a par 3. We've got out of bounds the entire left side, all the way up to the pin. And of course, that's water's edge. And then we've got trees on the right and left-hand side to contend with. Just a nice straight shot up the gut here will do.
Make sure to stay on the left side of that sidewalk as well. That does sneak around towards the back side. Unfortunately, Chandler's shot going a little long, crossing that sidewalk. A little too much height. Catching that is going to make Violet land just a little short, but she's dead center. Yankarooski with the rock. That does not have the stability to come back, but it was a mid. So I am short of the sidewalk, hanging on by hair of my teeth, hair of whatever. I don't know.
The skin of your teeth.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Nathalie, a nice straight shot right up the middle there. If you can get past that last tree trunk on the left, you know you're sitting pretty.
Those branches are thick and don't let much through. She's going to have a long look to save par.
Nice up there, Jen.
Nice little stepper to try to save her par. Unfortunately, just a hair low. Chandler going to tap in bogey. Ooh, and it was such a smooth, clean release. Unfortunately, you hit that angle and you're going to get a roll every time. And I don't know why I feel like we get that so much at Vista. I don't know if the targets are a little different or the ground we've already said is like concrete. But if you hit just at that short angle where it goes in, but it'll jump right out and roll every time. So Violet going about the same distance to the other side. She never loses the confidence though. Every time she putts these, she has maybe one hole around. She did it at Fountain. She was putting just out of her mind. The best I've seen her putt. Had one rough hole, but she steps up, she clears her mind, and every time she attacks it with just as much confidence. I told her I was super proud of her. She slams that one in all about the same distance. So she is working through that and getting them in.
And Nathalie putting it in for a bird, like we knew she would. And on the day, 2 birdies, Nathalie Ortiz and Danielle Keene. So shout out to you 2 ladies. Well done on this hole.
Back to back with Danielle on those 2 holes. Here we are, hole number 10, 651 feet. This is our par 5. So a couple of these are a little higher pars than the men. Kind of gives us a little easier look to kind of get that birdie, possibly a look at an eagle. Try to stay left of the sidewalk that's up there on the right. And you can cross the rock edge, the gunite over there on the left. We have a mando tree right there we're staying to the right of. Nathalie's showing us a perfect line, just trying to get out there towards the middle. First shot is kind of a placement shot. You don't want to get too far over on the left. The angle in and the trees kind of come into play. Anywhere almost dead center gives us the nice run up. Landing up there on top really makes for a hard standstill. It's difficult to run on that slope. So all of us kind of going over there to the left. This turns over and unfortunately crosses up there on the sidewalk and does not come back.
And I think I see it down there, but I'm just going to yell provisional, just in case.
That's good practice by Violet there, yelling out the word provisional, having her card second that decision. Good job.
So we kind of had this discussion on hole 7, and this will be funnier if you watch our final round. Stay tuned. But I had told Chandler to go ahead and say provisional, even though we could see her disc out of the circle island on 7. So that was kind of why Violet audibly said provisional. Trying to teach these young kids a lesson or two out here as the old lady on tour.
Mama Bear.
Huge forehand distance as well from Chandler. And I believe she stays in. Rock kind of bounced her back. This was a very awkward lie, going with my old T-bird on a hyzer, trying to just get as much distance as possible. Gonna put me about circle's edge, I believe.
Jen, that was a gorgeous backhand there. Just gorgeous. Chandler, little forehand flick up to the pin, and that curls by it nicely.
So staying in bounds is going to give you pretty good odds on getting that birdie. Violet pushing that forehand just a little long. She's going to have maybe 25 feet to save that par. So we couldn't see the line, and I think I was just inside the circle, and that's where I had to really push the elbow, and wasn't quite there. I'd rather be about 35, 38 feet.
Violet, let's go. Saves her par. Well done. And Chandler for a birdie here. As well as birdie for Mama Bear. And some tap-in action from Nathalie to round out the birdie on the card. All right, here we go, folks. Hole 11, 543 feet, par 4. You do have out of bounds on the right hand as well as left hand side. We've got a canal on the right hand side, sidewalk, OB, and beyond on the left.
This tee for us is pushed up a little bit closer, making the hole a little shorter than the previous years. Unfortunately, that takes too big of a skip and is going to cross the sidewalk out of bounds for Nathalie. Our teeing area is always kind of Gopherville, and so it's been a little rough for us to have a nice, safe, flat area. So I believe that's why the boys moved this up for us a little bit this year.
And my ankles, thank you, gentlemen. We've got Chandler with a backhand here. Right up the gut. That's exactly what you want on this hole. You want to land in the middle for the next shot.
Right where I wanted. Solid.
Hey, that was an awesome stop by the tree there for Violet. Again, she lands dead center. That's where you want to be on this hole.
Yeah, she's probably about 250 away. Unfortunately, doesn't get enough turnover on that, and that is going to hyzer over the sidewalk. You see that last Mando tree there on the left. It makes for a difficult approach. I actually kind of like where Nathalie is because you have the angle for the hyzer. In the middle, it's a much touchier, accurate shot going straight at it like Chandler's doing. Takes a little bit of skill. It's a touch shot that you have to maintain straight. Jen going with the forehand.
What? Let's go, Mama Bear. Come on.
Such a good attempt at trying to save that. Yeah, it's really funny. People always ask me, oh, were you working on your forehand and messed up your elbow? Absolutely not. The forehand doesn't hurt my elbow at all. My pain is on the side, not the inside, from old injury and just horrible tendonitis that hopefully one day will go away and never return.
I hope so for your sake. Nathalie cans it to save her par. Let's go. And folks, as we know, that putt that she just did, that is not a gimme. So that was well done by Nathalie. Way to finish strong on this hole.
Going through that full routine to make sure she can capitalize on the birdie.
Let's go, Jen. Nice birdie there.
There was 4 birdies. You just saw 2 of them. The other 2, Hannah Stefanovic. We call her a local, even though she's from Tucson. And Sandra Richardson. So not the... Oh, thank you, basket, to save the bogey.
That waffle had a little too much syrup on it, I must say. Here we go, folks. Hole 12, 282 feet, par 3. We've got quite a bit of a water carry here that backs up onto the gunite, which is all, of course, out of bounds. You have to clear that entire puppy and land on dry ground.
Also known as the dam hole. We can say that because we're saying it correctly for the children listening. Rock staying up there. And the gunite does come up quite a bit. So even when you kind of see your disc clear the water, land up top, you still have the possibility of being out. Another thing is the spotter for future spotters is in an incredible spot because he is able to watch that line to let us know if her disc ever did cross on the inbound side. Otherwise, she would have to re-tee. So unfortunately, both of those shots have landed out of bounds. Chandler's did cross, as you see him mark. Nathalie's unfortunately never saw the inbounds area, so she's going to re-tee in a second or closest to the water. Violet, plenty of distance to get over, nice and safe.
Nathalie opts to re-tee, which is quite courageous. Let's go, Nathalie. Awesome re-tee there.
It's one of those you just want to punch yourself in the face. Like, did I literally just park it the second time and couldn't even? Never fails. Awesome drive. Puts it within 3 feet on the re-tee.
Oh, Chandler just slightly timid on that putt right there. Plus, the ground does dip a little bit. So even though the basket's elevated, it's elevated even more with that dip.
Yeah, we were pretty lucky. The wind was not even present. So this was a nice, just beautiful Arizona winter day. Strong bid. It looked in out of her hand, going high, fully confident.
Let me tell you, Violet has been all over the basket this round.
I think peach waffle, is that a thing? Can we go peaches? She looks like a peach.
Yep, in Georgia.
Oh, now we get a long walk.
Every time I threw it, you had to
Here we go, hole 13, 405 feet to this elevated pin. This is a par 3. We do have a water carry initially, and then we have some trees to contend with. As we get closer to the pin, we do have a Mando on the left-hand side there. You are to shoot to the right of the Mando. And let me tell you something, folks, this green is really tricky.
Yeah, this is the second most difficult hole on the course. I feel like it could be a tweener for the women. Par 4 would maybe be too easy of a an attempt at birdie, but I don't think we see too many birdie attempts on this. We're just trying to get that first drive safe and at a place that we can have an attempt to get close to the basket. But that second shot, it's scarier than the first shot because the basket, which is elevated, is 3-4 feet to the water's edge. This one had a lot of height on it, too much angle, nose up is going to put her across that sidewalk.
Nathalie with a nice, safe backhand here.
Good shot.
And that'll do just fine.
Yeah, again, it puts her at kind of a Hyzer angle. We did get a little too close to that Mando tree, so not your favorite place to approach the basket. Now, as you see, Chandler did, I think, opt to take it back just a little bit to give her a little more room to get around that Mando. So super smart thing. If you go out of bounds, you can go as far back as possible.
Sit down. Sit.
I know. The good thing with my forehand is it can only go about 150 feet. So it's kind of a safe attempt at this. The Hyzer probably would have went in the water.
Yeah, on this hole, that's great. Violet with a nice little forehand flick. She shouldn't have any problems with that putt. Nathalie does what she's been doing all round / tournament. She cans it. Saves her par. Beautiful.
And I'll go ahead and say this since we've thrown our second shot. There were no birdies on this hole either. And I don't even think you're going to see a big throw in, right? Like if you are throwing it in for the 2 on this, you're accidentally throwing too hard because you're going to go in the water if you miss the basket.
Yeah, you pray the basket catches you. Let's just put it that way. And well done, Jen. There we go, a little bacon waffle action for the par.
I like it, going protein. Nice. We need that protein to get through the rest of this round.
Here we go, folks. Hole 14, 605 feet. This is a par 5 because it has so many Mandos on the hole here. What, 5 Mandos, I believe? Anyways, you have to maneuver your way basically down the middle of this hole. You do have out of bounds on the right-hand side, sidewalk and beyond, as well as on the left-hand side.
This, I haven't looked, but yeah, the second most easiest hole. So this is a very soft par 5. Kind of a tweener of a par. This is a par 4 for the men. So a couple of good shots. You're going to have an excellent chance for birdie, as well as a little look for an eagle. Little too much skip on the concrete grass. That's going to put Violet left of the line. Nathalie letting that one go just a little low, but it's safe. And a couple more of those can still get a birdie.
Chandler rips it. It's just a little too high. Luckily, falls straight down. Nathalie with her second shot here, opting for the backhand. And is safe, just shy of that Mando.
That one, again, a little too high. And the eucalyptus trees here are not very forgiving. They like to hold on to those discs. So this is like at Fountain Hills, we mentioned one of the probably last courses and tournaments that does the 2-meter rule does apply. Yes.
What a gorgeous shot, Jen. I just pushed her off the mic so I could say that into the mic. My goodness.
Coming for that, looking to get the skip and crawl. Violet's up there as well.
I think you can get that.
So there is Chandler's disc. It took us a minute to find it.
I lost it again.
You're right under it. Literally look directly up.
Unfortunately, there is a 2-meter rule. Gotta mark it directly underneath where it lies in the tree.
I think she's shown us such a strong forehand. I would have turned and opted with the forehand if I had it. And so it gives you a little more freedom with your arm away from the tree. Nathalie just a few inches away, and it makes a world of difference. So not as concerned with hitting her hand on the tree there. Chandler's only been playing a year. So those are the little things that once she plays a little bit more, it'll become a little more natural, making those decisions on the fly.
Let's go, Jen, with the eagle, baby. Come on.
Unfortunate miss there for Violet. Been kind of a roller coaster for her. I am fully confident she will pull that together for round 4.
And Nathalie puts it in for her bird.
Smooth as butter.
Ooh, good one.
Goes on pancakes.
Ooh, good one. Or waffles. Chandler with the bogey here.
Speaking of waffles.
And we got a nice mixed fruit waffle for you. Here we go. Hole 15, 450 feet. Par 4. This puppy wraps around to the left-hand side. It's almost like a dog leg, but not quite. Do have a couple Mandos to contend with midway down the fairway there.
We jumped into springtime. That kind of threw Ashley and I off with that, I guess, old footage of the hole there. It's like, that's what, like, I think it's springtime looks like on Vista. A few more months after this event is over with, this course actually gets beautifully green and all the trees have the leaves on them. Nathalie getting enough hyzer to make it back in safe where the sharp placement is for that hole.
I will say that is the common misplay on this hole, is pulling it to the right. Violet is hugging that left-hand side.
Beautiful hyzer coming out of Chandler there. Going to skip around towards the second Mando tree that we're staying to the right of. Anywhere around those last 2 eucalyptus trees is a great place to approach the basket. I believe we've lost a tree on the right side, so you can kind of get to the basket any way possible. Hyzer forehand. A little bit of a fast green that the sidewalk does come into play there on the left as well as behind the basket. So unfortunately, Violet catching a little bit of that eucalyptus leaves, and they are very strong. Like, you just don't hit a eucalyptus limb and
not forgiving. Yeah. Not forgiving whatsoever.
Oh, that's so bad.
Noosed it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I got a little carried away with such beautiful forehands through the round that I eagerly ripped that Yeti right over the sidewalk. So messed up the clean round. Something that's hard to do even on a soft course. Bogeys will sneak in here or there. Maybe tomorrow. Good birdie from Chandler.
Nathalie with the birdie here. Let's go, Nathalie. Good little scramble from the start there for you.
About pecan waffle.
Oh.
We have some pecans?
Yes.
Or is it pecan?
Pecan.
Okay.
No, wait.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Here we go, folks. Hole 16. We're almost there. 390 feet, par 3. We do have OB on the right and left-hand side, sidewalk and beyond on the left, and then up top, of course, sidewalk and beyond to the right. This hole is fairly difficult for most of the women.
Third most difficult, to be exact. Very rarely do we see the birdie. I think some of us with the distance that do get up past that last pine tree don't even want to risk taking the birdie unless you're almost parked. Unfortunately, Chandler hitting that tree by where the normal tee pad is. Going to drop her straight down. But I think all of us know that par is great. And so even if we get the distance like I'm getting on this one, it's just not really worth running a putt on the slope of this green with the elevated basket.
Violet with her Annie drive. Holds the Annie for quite some time. But lands on that hillside. I believe she might be closest to the pin thus far.
So this is Chandler's second attempt. Getting up there and landing just past Violet. Inside circle. This is another one that the straight on shot is more difficult. So the easier approach is actually to the left, but you just have to be careful of getting near the sidewalk there. But hyzering up that hill is a little easier than trying to get that disc to stay up on top. So just laying that one up for the tap in par.
Very smart. I'm telling you, you have to play smart on this hole. Hey, sometimes it might be a matter of just taking your medicine as well. But yeah, I've seen some nasty rollaways on this hillside here.
So unfortunately, this is probably Chandler's first or second time with the daunting fear of this hole. And everyone at some point in your career playing Vista has had this happen, unfortunately. So Chandler's going to have the option to take it where it went out or run back up, which she chooses to do. And that's a smart play. And unfortunately, loses her balance, falls forward. Violet's going to make the call. She saw that I saw it down there and gestured like, oh God, do we have to make this call? Because it's not a call anyone wants to make. Chandler wasn't trying to lose her balance, but inside circle one, you do need to maintain your balance and not fall forward. So unfortunately, that's going to be 2 penalty strokes for Chandler on this hole. And I believe, if I remember correctly, we added that up as an 8. That's not how you want to end a great round. So that was not what any of us wanted to see.
Man, that is a bummer. Happens all too often, though. Hole 17, 243 feet, par 3. This is an island hole. If you do not establish inside the island, you must take it from the drop zone. This is a fun little shorty here.
Yeah, one you have to commit to, but if you have any height on it, you're going to sneak past into the rocks like my beautifully high putter that out of the hand I knew I was going to the drop zone. And it's hard because you're going putter, right? And we had a little bit of a wind pickup, so you have to kind of be aggressive with the putter shot. Violet getting a little more turn to her, so it's going to slide up about 15 feet.
I'll tell you what, it's a shorty but a toughie of a hole, that's for sure. Nathalie with a backhand. We've got nice turn on this. Woo!
Yeah, that was so close. And shout out to her husband. It was his birthday, so she almost got him a birthday ace.
Chandler here hooks it out to the right and crosses into the island for a nice little park job there. Let's go. Come on, cans it from the drop zone, baby. Saves a par. Folks, you have no idea how hard that putt is. Let's go.
Love the excitement. It is a risky drop zone with that gunite, maybe 12, 15 feet past. So you do have to commit to it because the roll is going to happen if you hit anything on the left side of that basket. Great birdie for Violet. Chandler going up there to try to erase one of the strokes from the previous hole. It's a good way to fight back.
Way to go, Chandler. Puts it in for a bird.
Big shout out to Terry Miller and everyone who makes this happen. Here we are, hole 18.
Hole 18, baby, 330 feet. Par 3. I believe the water carry on this is around 280. Of course, water is out of bounds. There is OB long on the hole as well, which some of our ladies in the FPO struggled with this weekend.
Yeah, this actually is the hardest, most difficult hole on the entire course for the women. So really making us commit to that. This is Violet Nose, got too much stability on that fairway. And gonna go to the drop zone for Violet. Any disc that lands out of bounds, no matter if you are safe on land or not, goes to the drop zone. And it's about a 200-foot drop zone mark to the right of that tree. Nathalie not gonna need that drop zone. She stays safe.
Probably the most difficult drop zone. And of course, we want to thank Alan J. Vaughn for coming out and snapping some photos of all fields during the memorial. Alan, we love you. Thank you so much for all you do for our disc golf community.
Going with the stable rock so I wouldn't go long, as we saw with Chandler. So putting some flex on it, making sure that I just finish out the round with a par.
And let me tell you, that was an excellent shot from the drop zone. Drop zone on this hole's really hard.
Yeah, and I think that's what puts it as the most difficult hole is so many people could easily go out of bounds from the drop zone again, getting that double penalty, or just with the putts. So the left side water on the putting green does sneak into play very quickly. There's a lot of action on this green. Going with the layup for the tap-in par.
Oh, Chowder. Violet. There we go. Hey, way to put it in, Violet.
Yeah, it closes out a great round. Just a couple of rough little hiccups here and there, but overall, some great drives, some beautiful putts, another beautiful putter, like guaranteed every time. Nathalie, great round. It's always fun to see new FPO jump on to coverage.
I was just about to say we're going to see a lot more of Chandler and Nathalie in our disc golf futures. So well done, you two. Well done, everyone.
And just like that, we are done with round 3 out here at Vista. Shooting 4 down that round, myself, Violet with 3 over, Ashley Phelps, who's that, with a 3 under, and Nathalie Ortiz with a -2. So that's going to be our lead card for round 4.